So just chatting on the phone with a vendor looking at, well, it was really kind of an interesting thing. They're a load balancing vendor, Citrix actually. They make the NetScaler ADC. And they, along with a lot of people that make this kind of a product, are in this transition where customers are used to doing load balancing the traditional way, where they've got a load balancer in their data center, and they need to still have their product be useful in a cloud context because they've got customers that are moving their applications up to the cloud. Well, how do you do load balancing in the cloud? Which really changes the equation because it's not anymore that physical load balancer or even a virtual load balancer, but sitting in your data center where you control it and you deal with the plumbing and you build the VIPs and you deal with the pools and layer 7 rules and all of that stuff. In a way that you're used to. You go into that device and you manage that policy and off you go. And the vast majority of folks that are in that world are dealing with one load balancer at a time or one cluster of load balancers at a time and managing that device in that way. So you move this to a cloud context, and depending on what your reasons are for moving to cloud, that can change your load balancer equation. So let's say you're moving to cloud for the developer agility. You want the devs to be able to have a little more control over standing up workloads and doing things in an automated way. And there's all these APIs in the cloud that allow that to happen. DevOps, if we want to use that buzzword of the day. All right, so how do you deal with that from a load balancer perspective? How does the load balancer fit into that equation if you want to stand up applications automatically, but also have load balancing services standing in front of those apps, so have the quick ramp up time for the apps because they're stood up automatically by devs using APIs in some automated process or an orchestration system or a scheduler. And then have load balancing be a part of that equation so that the services that are being delivered by that app are front-ended by the load balancer and have that be an integrated part of the solution in your service chain. And so this is the dilemma that load balancers are facing. They know their core enterprise business really well. They know how to sell an ADC, a load balancer, to a customer and how it fits into the world. They know how to scale it with clustering. They probably have their umbrella managers and so on, and that a lot of their customers would have bought into, particularly those that have a lot of ADCs under their control. But then moving into the cloud model, how do you exactly deliver those same kind of services and so on? And then there's even a bigger question. How do you deal with the competition that comes from the public cloud providers? AWS, Amazon, would be delighted to have you use their load balancing services, ELB, Elastic Load Balancer. Do you need to have Citrix and F5 and A10 and whoever with their ADCs still if Amazon's load balancer will do 80% of what your fancy one that you had in your own data center do? That's another question and concern that have the legacy traditional load balance manufacturers on their heels. They're thinking through this, and they want to make sure that folks understand what the value is of their products that they're bringing. So anyway, all of that was on my mind because I'm working on a webinar with Citrix to talk through a lot of these issues and help people understand how Citrix fits into their cloud migration and how, in fact, Citrix can get them into the cloud. So that was the discussion. We're working on getting a deck together and getting some engineering resources on the line from Citrix for that webinar so that we can have a nerd discussion about exactly how that would work.